970.
WNXX, Jackson, KNXX, Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers, LA 21-12681, offices in Baton Rouge. Now, The Hunt Palmer Show. You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Looking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios, this is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Monday. It's brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. Hope your work week is off to a good start. Got Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali back on the ones and twos. Lots and lots to react to over the weekend here in South Louisiana. LSU got a big-time football commitment. We'll talk about that a little bit later. LSU got a berth into the NIT. We'll talk about that a little bit later with Matthew Bruni, North Texas grad Matthew Bruni, which is who LSU is matched up with in the NIT. So we'll talk to Bruni in the second hour. The Saints lost free agent cornerback. What does that mean for the cornerback situation? We'll talk a little bit about that. The SEC baseball, the NCAA tournament is set. Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots to get to over the next 2 hours. So lock us in, please. And we'll start, unfortunately, with LSU baseball in Starkville, Mississippi. I did something yesterday I never do. I turned it off. I just could not watch it anymore. Mississippi State had been bashing baseballs all over Dudy Noble Field for 3 days, and I had quite simply seen enough. I turned on the Players' Championship. It was great. Scotty Scheffler's making birdies. You got Xander Schauffele in the mix. You got Wyndham Clark lipping out putts. It was fantastic theater, great entertainment. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I could not watch LSU and Mississippi State play baseball anymore. I didn't even know that the game was a run rule until later in the evening when my neighbor told me. I could not watch it anymore. This LSU baseball team is built behind very, very talented and deep pitching. And through the first month in non-conference play, including a trip over to Houston where you played Texas and ULL and Texas State, that starting pitching had been excellent. You'd gotten excellent work from Luke Holman. He had not allowed a run in a month. Gage Jump had allowed 1 run, no earned runs. Thatcher Hurd, big stuff, big strikeouts. At times been a little wobbly, but has been pretty good. And then Cade Anderson in the midweek has been sensational. And you know what you've got in Nate Ackenhausen, and you know what you've got in Gavin Guidry. And you feel good about the development of some of your younger pitchers. You've seen some good stuff from Fidel Ulloa to this point. Javen Coleman, been around a bit. Griffin Herring. You feel pretty good about that group. And outside of Griffin Herring's 2 1/3 on Saturday and Nate Ackenhausen's 9th inning on Saturday, everyone was poor to quite poor. It was just a very, very poor effort by LSU pitching. And I will give credit to Mississippi State. They played great. This is a team that scored 1 run in 9 innings against UNO on Wednesday, turned around 48 hours later, and for 3 days was absolutely unconscious. It happens sometimes. That's quality stuff from them. Very, very poor job by LSU. Something in the scouting report obviously suggested that Luke Holman was going to throw a ton of breaking balls because he threw a ton of breaking balls. And a guy that's been pretty dominant all year long and really solid most of last year just got hit hard. 10 hits in 4 2/3 innings. Gave up 5 runs, just 2 of them were earned. But here's the number that was disappointing over the weekend. Strikeouts. LSU's pitching staff has done a great job of getting strikeouts in the non-conference. They could not against Mississippi State. They struck out 20 guys in 3 days. They struck out 20 guys against Texas. They could not get swings and misses at any point over the weekend. Holman has 3 strikeouts in his 4 2/3. Gage Jump, 3 strikeouts in 3 2/3. Thatcher Hurd, 3 strikeouts in 5 innings. These are strikeout guys. The strikeout's important. It keeps people where they are on base, helps your defense, which LSU needed because they committed 2 errors in all 3 games. And they just didn't have anybody that could come in there and miss bats. Now, I'm sure most of you that listened on Friday are wanting me to go nuts today because Dakota Jordan had 4 RBI in 2 innings yesterday, including a huge 3-run homer in a tie game. And I could do that. I could rant and rave and say, I told you on Friday, absolutely do not let Dakota Jordan beat you. Anybody else, tell them. I said that on Friday. Unfortunately, after 2.5 days, my theory didn't hold up. I was just dead wrong. You could pat me on the back and go, oh, yeah, you called that Jordan thing. Well, I also told you the rest of the lineup stunk. Guess what? The rest of the lineup raked all 3 games. I got a hard time just telling Dakota Jordan to go right to first base when Hunter Hines is right behind him and has 3 home runs on the weekend. This is Hunter Hines, who had 1 home run on the season entering the weekend. He hit 2 on Friday and another one to the moon on Sunday. So I thought they handled Dakota Jordan pretty well for 2 days and half the game. And the 3-run homer was a 2-0 breaking ball at the bottom part of the zone. I don't know that you can make much better a pitch. You could just intentionally walk him, but Hines is liable to leave the yard again. So it's damned if you do, damned if you don't thing, because the state lineup, which had been one-dimensional, it had been basically just Dakota Jordan, everybody was hitting lasers. I'm writing my piece for On 3 earlier this morning and kind of going through some of the stats, and I mentioned there that Hunter Hines had 1 home run entering the weekend and hit 3 on the weekend, but it wasn't just Hunter Hines that was tattooing baseballs. Aaron Downs had 5 hits on the year. Coming into the weekend, he had 7 in 3 games. It was just relentless by Mississippi State. They came to the plate 39 times over the week. 25 times over the weekend. 25 innings of work. LSU got them up and down 6 times. Once on Friday, twice on Saturday, and 3 times on Sunday. And the time they did it more often, Sunday, where they got them up and down 3 times, they scored 15 runs in less than 9 innings. So it was never easy. LSU never really gave the ball to somebody like Stevens from Mississippi State on Friday that got on cruise control. So the question is, like, how big a deal is it that LSU, when the competition stepped up, went on the road and really struggled to pitch? Like, how big a deal is that? And the truth is, I don't really know. I don't really know. I have my feelings on it. I think LSU is going to be fine from a pitching perspective. I think Luke Holman's going to be just fine. I think Gage Jump's going to be just fine. I think Thatcher Hurd's going to be just fine. And I think they've got enough guys in the bullpen that they'll have a good bullpen as well. LSU this weekend looked like one of the worst pitching staffs in the SEC, and I would suggest that they are probably one of the best pitching staffs in the SEC. They just did not show it this weekend. They ran into a team that was swinging it great on the road and got crushed. It happened to a lot of teams in the SEC on the road this weekend. I went back and looked at it. In the Southeastern Conference, road teams this weekend posted a combined record of 4-17. The home teams, said another way, were 17-4 over the weekend in the SEC. Not a single road team won a series. And LSU was very much in that number. The problem is it just doesn't get any easier. Florida's got an elite level lineup that hits a ton of home runs. That's next. Then you got to deal with a road trip to Arkansas, who got a sweep over Missouri. Missouri scored 1 run over the weekend. You've got Vandy coming here. They swept Auburn. Got to go to Knoxville. That's a really talented team and a very tough place to play. And you knew all that entering the weekend, which is why, to me, the bigger story is not that LSU's pitching staff faltered over the weekend. I'm disappointed by that. I'm a little concerned, but I don't think it's anywhere close to panic time. I think they'll be just fine. The bigger story is that you lost the series, because it's pretty easy to envision a situation where LSU loses 3 of the next 4 series. I'm not predicting that. I'm not telling you I think that's going to happen, but it's not far-fetched to think that LSU could lose 3 of the next 4. Then all of a sudden you're at the halfway point and you're under 500 and you're looking going, what now? Now we'll cross that bridge when we get to it because you're not there. But this was an opportunity I think LSU really needed to go get 2 games. And they took one of the first 2. And through half the game yesterday, you were in a tie ball game. You tied it up at 3. And then all hell broke loose. And you let it get away. So, again, I'm not near panic mode. Just eye-opening, I would suggest. And an opportunity that they've got to come back on their home field next week and pitch it much, much better. Got a good tech team coming in tomorrow. Get a bunch of guys some work. And then let it fly again on Friday. But a jarring weekend for sure when you consider that something you thought was such a strength turned into such a weakness, and it stayed that way for 72 hours. They just never found anything on the mound. Got to pitch it much better, got to strike more guys out, got to play better defense. Everything from that perspective has got to get better for LSU. My sincere hope is that it does, but that's the beauty of this thing. It's a long and winding road. First chapter of SEC play, certainly a disappointing one, but I'll write another one this coming weekend. Our baseball breakdowns all season long brought to you by Pluckers, Nicholson just south of campus, Bluebonnet in front of the Mall of Louisiana. We're going to talk a little bit more baseball. We didn't talk about anything on the offensive side of things. Tommy White kind of finding things. Paxton Kling was not in the lineup the last 2 days. Ashton Larson's in there. Michael Braswell swung the bat pretty well. What does all that mean? We'll talk about that coming up next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Audio Video Security Solutions. Check them out online at avssla.com. Audio, they got you covered. Whole home audio. You can use voice automation for it, pair it with your Alexa, all these things that I'm not smart enough to figure out, but Mitchell Fisher and his crew at Audio Video Security Solutions are, and they can come into your home to help you out. The video side of things, they can mount your televisions. You can actually buy televisions from them, and they can set up your surround sound to create that awesome home entertainment system that you've always wanted. And they do security systems as well. They've got an app right there on your phone. I got cameras on the front and back of my house, notified every time the door opens. They can handle all that stuff at Audio Video Security Solutions. Check them out on Instagram, AVSS_BR. That's AVSS_BR. And as I said, check them out online. It's Audio Video Security Solutions at AVSSLA.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Ford has $7,500 off MSRP on new 23 Ford F-150 XLT trucks. $7,500 off plus 1.9% financing for 72 months. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques, Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us.
Field is set for the 2024 NCAA Men's Basketball Tournament. Tune in for first-round coverage Thursday night at 6 and Friday night at 6. Then catch second-round coverage starting Saturday at noon and Sunday morning at 11, right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Our Monday show is brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products, GCOPnet.com for all your printer, copier, scanner needs. Shout out to our guy, Trey Beal. I love talking to Trey, and I give you this comp most Mondays when I tell you about Gulf Coast Office Products. You can deal with mom and pop shops in any sort of industry that you're looking at, and you'll get great customer service and great relationships, but maybe they don't have the capabilities because it's a small operation that some others have. You can deal with the huge corporations where you're just kind of a line item number. You're not going to get great customer service, but they've got the capability to do just about anything that you want. Gulf Coast Office Products is right there in the middle of that. You're going to have a great relationship with your rep. It's Trey or one of the other folks over there. They've got a great local team that can handle your business statewide here in Louisiana, but they've also got the capabilities to get things done. They've got $1 million worth of inventory right on site here in Baton Rouge. They've got a full staff ready to come out and service your printers, copiers, or scanners when things go wrong. Do business with Gulf Coast Office Products. If you're looking for printers, scanners, copiers, any line of work, any vertical market, Trey Beal has got clients in that line of work and knows what your needs are. Gulf Coast Office Products, GCOPnet.com. Offensively, LSU was not terrible over the weekend. On Friday, only 4 runs on 6 hits. Saturday, the bats got going early, and you had the 2 home runs there in the first, and you got a 3 spot there. LSU actually scored 9 runs in the first 3 innings. They put it in the deep freeze after that and made things way more interesting than it needed to be. But the offense was pretty good. 9 runs on 11 hits there on Saturday, and then you had 8 hits and 5 runs, including a couple of homers there on Sunday as well. So it wasn't a terrible effort offensively. Certainly not good enough because LSU's pitching faltered. I thought the biggest story for LSU offensively was that Tommy White got the power stroke going a little bit. Obviously hit the home run deep to left field, hit the ball out to right field as well, shot the ball through the right side of the infield. LSU needs Tommy White to be a star if they're going to be as good as they can be. We know how good Tommy White is. He drove in 100 runs last year. He's the National Freshman of the Year. So that's the National Freshman home run record. He's a proven guy, and he was going to get going, just like Hunter Hines over Mississippi State. Eventually, Hunter Hines was going to find some power. It's a guy that had hit 22 home runs last year. He wasn't going to be dormant the entire season. Unfortunately for LSU, he woke up when the Tigers got to town. But Tommy White did as well, and that was very, very good to see him hitting the ball with authority over the fence to the right side of the ballpark. That's what you want to see from Tommy White. On the flip side of that, Paxton Kling did not play on Saturday or Sunday. And I was told prior to the season, not like anticipating any struggles, but I was told like the leash for Jared Jones and Paxton Kling was going to be long this year. And the reason for that is because of the upside that they have. If those guys have the tools to be big league players, Jared Jones has monster power and strength. He can hit the ball the opposite field. Like he's got an incredible skill set. Paxton Kling has every tool that you need in the toolbox. He's got a long frame. He runs well. He's got a good arm. He can hit the ball over the fence. He can play defense. Like he's got every tool you could need. But the production has not matched up to that. And to this point, Paxton Kling on the season is the lowest batting average of all the regulars. He's hitting .214. He's got 1 home run and 2 doubles. And so I don't know. I'm certain that the leash is not gone. Like he's not done. But I think that Jay Johnson is going to earnestly look at other options there. Whether it's Jake Brown, whether it's Ashton Larson when he comes back, whether it's Ethan Fry, like he's going to look at some other options. And I don't think Paxton Kling is going to be penciled into the lineup every single day. He can earn himself back to that. Like I think he'll probably play tomorrow against Louisiana Tech. But if he plays tomorrow and goes 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts, I don't know if he's in there on Friday against Florida. I think you might look to Larson, who hit the ball really hard twice yesterday. He was retired on the ball that he stung to third base, and then he doubled in the gap. He also drew a walk. So I think that you're likely going to see him in the game tomorrow. So it's disappointing because I said this before the season started, and I'll stick to it. Like LSU's fate is largely going to be dictated by how those sophomores perform. If Kling and Jones and Fry and Neal are as good as they can be, LSU is going to be one of the best teams in the country. If Paxton Kling hits 214, well, then you're probably going to have to go to a freshman or lightly used Ethan Fry. And that's disheartening a little bit, but we saw it. It wasn't like just, hey, get a breather on Saturday, back in there on Sunday. No. Jay's looking for another option. And so we'll see kind of how that manifests itself. Josh Pearson got 5 hits over the weekend, had a big home run in the game on Friday. So that was good to see. Josh has kind of been hit or miss early in the season, and like he came on like gangbusters at the end of his freshman year, and you were thinking this is going to be a guy that hits 340 with 10, 12 home runs for the next couple of years. And then last year he didn't play early in the season, kind of got some spot time, and then was thrust in there late and had some huge swings in Omaha. But you were thinking, okay, now he's going to be a guy and probably going to hit towards the top of the order, probably in front of or right behind Tommy White. And it kind of been hit or miss. But Pearson collected 5 hits over the weekend, upped his batting average up to 263. His on base is at 358. So that's a guy that LSU needs to come along. And then I thought hat tip to Michael Braswell, who hit the ball pretty sharply a few times, got on base a little bit more, had a double in the gap, and scored a run when LSU was trying to get back into it in the middle innings yesterday. I don't think Braswell, like, there's a volatility there with Kling, that Kling, theoretically, the tools suggest he could be a guy who hit 340 and stole some bases and hit 11 or 12 home runs. Braswell doesn't have that tool. What you want for Michael Braswell is if he hits 275, gets on base at a 360 clip, and plays a solid shortstop and hits 3 or 4 home runs. Like, that's the top of what Michael Braswell can be. There's not a lot of volatility there, just what he can be. And at this point, he's hitting 271. He's getting on base at a 408 clip, and he's got 1 homer. But he's limited in what he can do offensively. Need him to play a little better defensively. Had a couple of errors. Had a chance to turn a big double play in the game on Friday and didn't get it done. But, offensively, I think LSU was fine in the game in over the weekend. As Jay Johnson said today in his press conference, like, doing what they did offensively is probably good enough to win 2 out of 3 most weekends. It's just that the pitching just crumbled. And again, like, that, I'm okay with it right now because I think the pitching's going to be significantly better than it was over the weekend. If it's not, then this thing's cooked anyway. Because you can't build your team around a strength and then have it crumble. But offensively, I thought LSU was okay. They got a break and not facing Dome and didn't take advantage of it on Friday. Thought they did a really nice job at handling the starter in Saturday's game. And then Sainja has got electric stuff. I mean, that's a 97-mile-an-hour fastball from the right side. There's some good breaking balls left-handed. Like, you just don't see guys like that ever, really. But I thought LSU offensively was okay. Defensively and pitching, just the run prevention side of things just absolutely let them down, and that's why they got off to a rough start. But as I mentioned, like, the SEC, nobody won on the road this weekend. So you come home, you got to take care of your business at Alex Box Stadium. There's no two ways about that. Florida comes in, LSU's got to handle things coming up in the game on Friday and over the weekend, this coming weekend, after a date with Louisiana Tech coming up tomorrow. So that's your look at baseball. Those are always brought to you by Pluckers Wing Bar. Get on by Pluckers. Get some Breggy's Creole Crush over at Pluckers, whether it's on Nicholson or Blue Bonnet, the Alec Bregman sauce. It is really, really good stuff. I had a chance to try it a couple of weeks ago right before it hit the shelves. All right, football time. Let's talk a little LSU football. The Tigers got a huge commitment. I'll tell you about it and what it means for this class of 2025 that Brian Kelly is putting together. That's all coming up next, The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $22,500 off the new 23 Ram 1500 SCA truck. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $22,500 off the new Ram 1500 truck. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
It's the details that make the difference between good enough and simply the best. At Skag Power Equipment, the difference is in designing lawnmowers with your convenience and comfort in mind. At Skag, we believe that quality and substance matter, and that you'll appreciate the attention to detail and craftsmanship we put into every single product. Thick steel and heavy-duty components provide you with unmatched reliability and performance. Skag, simply the best.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
On
On Tuesdays, OTB. LSU baseball is on to the midweek. Plus, we break down a little March Madness with Coach Kim Mulkey, what's going on with LSU spring football, and a brand new OTB mailbag. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford chat on YouTube is scrolling through. Richie Zitzman says, we give up 33 runs this weekend. Ack pitched 1 inning. Guidry 2/3 of an inning. Ulloa threw 2 pitches. Unacceptable. I was surprised that Guidry and Ackenhausen did not come into the game on Sunday at some point when it was still competitive. That did surprise me. They went to Helmers early. They went to Christian Little. I was surprised neither one of those guys came into the game. I didn't hear an explanation for that or why Jay decided to go with the guys he went to. But I would have liked to seen your best guys at some point, and they did not enter the game while it was competitive. So that was a little bit questionable for sure. So reasonable point there in the Bayou Ford chat. All right, let's talk some football. LSU got a huge commitment over the weekend from offensive guard Tyler Miller. He's the number 1 interior offensive lineman in the nation, according to On3. He's a consensus 4-star prospect. Depending on where you look, On3 is a little bit higher on him than the other 3 services, but all of them have him as a top 30 interior offensive lineman in the country. He's from Laurel, Mississippi. The thought was maybe Ole Miss was going to be able to keep him home, but Brad Davis lands another elite-level player. And this class looks incredible on paper. I think all of us realize that this day and age, putting too much stock into your high school signing class is probably a bit dangerous because of the nature of the transfer portal and how things tend to work out these days. But the best way I know to put an elite level championship contender on the field in college football is to recruit really well. That's the best way I know. And some schools are going to do more heavy lifting in the transfer portal. Some schools are going to do a little bit more heavy lifting from the high school perspective. We know that Ole Miss is sinking all of their resources into the transfer portal. We know that Brian Kelly has said, I want high school players. We're going to fill the roster with high school players and then plug some gaps with transfer portal guys where we need to. And I like that idea. I think the best way to go about things is to sign high school kids. I can listen to the other side where you would say, well, you're getting a proven commodity when you take a 22-year-old instead of an 18-year-old. But if I'm LSU and I've got access to the best players in the country at a high school perspective and I can get them in, develop them, that's what I'm going to try to do. With the understanding that some guys are going to leave, just the nature of the beast. But high school is the way that Brian Kelly wants to do this. And this class they're putting together is really star-studded. I'll start with Miller here and then start talking through the class a little bit. With Miller, this is the frame and the projectability that Brian Kelly has recruited to his entire career. And it's why they created a turnstile of NFL offensive linemen at Notre Dame when he was there, and why they're going to do the same thing in Baton Rouge. They're going to do it with Will Campbell and with Emory Jones. And the guys that they're bringing in fit this profile that Brian Kelly talked about. Literally, the first press conference, he took the job. He was asked about how good his offensive line recruiting and development was at Notre Dame, and he said something to the effect of, we've got a profile that we recruit to, and we stick to the profile, and that's how we do it. And the profile, very clearly, is long, lean offensive linemen who fill out over their time in college. There are very rarely 6'4", 365-pound offensive lineman commitments in Brian Kelly's program. Most of them look like Tyler Miller, who is listed at 6'5", 310. Lot of commitments from sub-300-pound offensive linemen in Brian Kelly's time here in Baton Rouge. He's got a profile. He recruits to it, and it works. And Tyler Miller is the next in line here. He joins a class that is number 1 in the country for 2025, according to On3. Of course, the headliner is Bryce Underwood, the number 1 player in the nation, 5-star quarterback. DeCorian Moore, who is committed to LSU. He's still taking visits, and there's Texas, and we'll see. But right now, committed to LSU, 5-star, number 1 receiver in the country. Harlem Berry, 5-star, number one running back in the country. Then you go to Tyler Miller, number one interior offensive lineman in the country. So in this class, you've got the best quarterback, the best running back, the best wide receiver, the best interior offensive lineman. It's a pretty good place to start. But that's not all. Because they've got Jabari Antoine, who's, depending on where you look, the second or third top-rated player in the state of Louisiana at cornerback. You got Devin Harper, who, again, fits this model. He's 6'5", 285. From Calvary up in Shreveport, a 4-star. Keelan Moses, linebacker from right here at the Lav School. J.D. LaFleur, one of the best tight ends in America. 6'6", 230 from Sulphur, 4-star prospect. You got Charles Ross, who is a 6'2", 200-pound linebacker that runs track at an elite level in Texas. Maybe the fastest linebacker in the country. You've got Teron Francis, top 5 player in the state, wide receiver out of Edna Carr. You've got Brett Bordelon, 6'4", 280, same type deal, lean, long offensive lineman. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 commits that you've got right now, 3 of which are 5-star, and then you add Tyler Miller to this mix as the number one interior offensive lineman in the country. And what's happening here, in my opinion, I don't know because I'm not talking to these kids, is when you get these big name prospects committed early, that buzz starts to generate. They start to do some of the work for you. Now, look, LSU's recruiting staff doesn't need a ton of help. It's a guys with a lot of skins on the wall from a recruiting perspective. Brad Davis is an awesome recruiter and developer of talent at offensive line. But when you've got these junior days where Bryce Underwood is here and Harlem Berry is here, DeCorian Moore is here, and you see the type of players that you can spend 3 or 4 years with, it just makes the sell that much better. And so I don't expect this class to slow down at all. I think they'll continue to pull in high 4 and 5-star players because people want to play with these guys. And the big question with Brian Kelly when he was hired at LSU was like, okay, this guy clearly does great things in the Midwest. Awesome job, Cincinnati. Awesome job, Notre Dame. Won a ton of games. But can he come to the South and recruit? Well, 1, yes, is the answer. And 2, the staff he's put together can do – I mean, they're just – it's a bunch of stud recruiters. Corey Raymond's been a great recruiter for 20 years. Bo Davis has been a great recruiter for 20 years. We're starting to see the chops that Joe Sloan has on the recruiting trail. Brad Davis, awesome recruiter. Blake Baker, awesome recruiter. Cortez Hankton, awesome recruiter. And again, this, to me, is the best way to go about building a championship team is to get great high school players. They're not all going to work out. I just rounded off all these number one players. Maybe a couple of them don't pan out or transfer after 1 year or don't sign. But if you stack enough guys together in a class, that's the quickest path to an elite football program. And you've got the advantage of most of a lot of guys being in the state of Louisiana, whether it's Harlem Berry, Jabari Antoine, Devin Harper, Keelan Moses, J.D. LaFleur, Teron Francis, Brett Bordelon. These are Louisiana guys. That's where you've got an advantage there, but they're also recruiting nationally. And this is another example of that, to go into the state of Mississippi, where there's a ton of buzz around Ole Miss right now, and to go in there and recruit him to LSU is a huge win. It's not Bryce Underwood from Michigan. That's not going to happen all the time. But LSU does have a national brand. DeCorian Moore from Texas, Tyler Miller from Laurel, Mississippi. You start in the state of Louisiana, where you got all these great players and an advantage in recruiting them, and then you supplement it with the national brand. And right now, this staff is putting on a masterclass in recruiting. And we've talked to some of the industry guys, talked to Billy Embody, talked to Shea Dixon about what the odds are that LSU lands the number one class in the country. Don't get a trophy for that, but still a good thing to do. And the odds are pretty good that this class of 2025 is going to be the best one in America. Now you got to keep them together, get those signatures, get them into camp, and develop them. But it's a really, really good place to start. And Tyler Miller, 6'5", 310, Laurel, Mississippi, interior offensive lineman, commits to the Tigers over the weekend. And the news is that they're probably not done. There's probably going to be some more over the next couple of weeks with LSU recruiting. Recruiting season never stops, and LSU is doing a heck of a job of it right now. 11 commitments in the class of 2025, the class ranked number 1 in the nation. All right, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products, GCOPnet.com. That's GCOPnet.com. Still got plenty to get to over the next hour and a half. Matthew Bruni is going to be with us in an hour talking about the NIT. LSU will face North Texas. We'll talk to Matthew Bruni about that. How was the girls' draw in the NCAA tournament? We'll talk to Bruni about that as well. So all things hoop coming up at 2:30. I've got my reaction to some SEC baseball that happened that we'll get to here very shortly. The NCAA tournament brackets are out as well. And the Saints have some thinking to do at cornerback. We'll get to a little bit of that coming up in hour number 2 as well. Hope your work week is off to a good start here on this Monday. Appreciate you for locking us in here on the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
ESPN Bet is now live in Louisiana as the official sportsbook of ESPN. ESPN Bet is the only place to find daily exclusives and offers with your favorite ESPN personalities and shows. You can sign up today. Could not be any easier. New users get $100 in bonus bets for making any sportsbook bet. Log in, throw a bet down on the NBA, throw a bet down on the NIT. All of a sudden, boom, you've got $100 in credits right there to bet in your account. You can bet in-game if you're watching a game and like a trend. You can bet it right there on the ESPN app. You got cross-sport parlays, teasers, and all the props that you can handle. That's ESPN Bet. You can download today. What a play. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. In partnership with the Bears Lake Charles. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs.
For the Tuesday edition of Live at Lunch from Mike Anderson Seafood, Wesley at Nicholson. Andy Esco gives us his thoughts on the NCAA tournament and LSU getting ready for an NIT game. Live at Lunch from Mike Anderson's 11 a.m. Tuesday on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Register and make your picks now for the $1 Million Bracket Challenge powered by Acura of Baton Rouge and Coors Light at 1045ESPN.com. First place wins $2,024 cash, and if your bracket is perfect, you will win $1 million and a 3-year lease on a 2024 Acura RDX. It's the $1 Million Bracket Challenge powered by Acura of Baton Rouge and Coors Light.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
I got a question regarding the bracket challenge from some folks up at sales, and they're like, "What if like 3 or 4 people get a perfect bracket? Do they all?"
That's a good question.
I looked at it and I was like, "It's never gonna happen."
Well, yeah, it'll never happen. It's still no one's ever done it before. Yeah,
no one could ever do it. You cannot pick that many basketball games correctly. I mean, most of the day, like day one, there's 16 games. I'll probably go 10-6. Like,
yeah,
it's not even remotely close. I did one time in college have a 16-0 Thursday.
Really?
I think Friday probably went terribly.
Yeah,
it was
probably.
It was the year VCU beat Duke. And I had VCU in that game, and I went 16-0 on Thursday. Never won anything. That typical because I'm not all that bright. But I do want to talk a little bit about the bracket. I think Auburn's got some beef here. Auburn gets a 4 seed in the East. Yale's a reasonable enough draw, but then San Diego State in the second round, and they're on the same side as UConn there. Like, I thought that was a 3 seed to me. To be a 4 and to get the 1 seed in the Sweet 16 instead of.
I mean, it's almost like them winning the SEC tournament didn't even help them.
Yeah,
like, I feel like they were probably a 4 before anyway.
They say conference tournaments don't matter very much. Like I've never been in the room, so I don't know. But
I guess they didn't really get any great wins in the tournament.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just a really, really brutal draw there. I'm curious to see, like, Texas A&M, they could play Houston in the second round. They might not score 40 points in that game. Because, I mean, Houston is a relentless defensive team, and A&M can't shoot any. So, like, that is – I don't know if A&M's going to beat Nebraska or not. I don't know anything about Nebraska. But, like, the thought of A&M trying to play offense against that Houston defense is terrifying for the eyeballs. That's a brutal one there. Tennessee gets a 2 seed. They are a 2 in the Midwest. They'll play St. Peter's. They could play Texas in the second round, which is obviously a little bit of a Rick Barnes connection there. In the regional final, they would get Purdue. I was looking at Wes Rucker, who covers the Vols for On 3, or no, maybe 24/7. I think he's with 24/7, and he was saying, like, Tennessee, their bigs have a tendency to get in foul trouble. And the thought of Zach Edey against Tennessee, where they're bigs and they're so physical, and then look, that Edey draws up a bajillion fouls a game. That could be quite a rock fight as well with Purdue and Tennessee. Bama is a 4 seed in the South. How do you feel about Alabama today? Like, I don't
not great. I mean, they can score with anybody, but can they guard? They can't guard anybody. They're just like Kentucky.
And so Kentucky didn't guard anybody, and it just feels like both of those teams are going to go out in a game where they allow 93. It's just like that's just what they do. And so, Alabama plays Charleston, then they would probably get St. Mary's, who plays really slow. So we'll see. That would be a real contrasting styles there. But I would very much be interested in watching North Carolina and Alabama play in the Elite Eight. That sounds like a very, very fun game that would involve a ton of points. We'll see if they get that far. Mississippi State got all the way up to the 8 line. That was a team that was on the bubble when LSU played them, and they got all the way to the 8. That seeding shocked me as much as Auburn being a 4. I thought Mississippi, and if I'm Mississippi State, I'd probably rather be a 10 than an 8. because all of a sudden you got to play North Carolina right out of the chute. I mean, Mississippi State would play, talk about blue bloods, they would play Michigan State in the opener in the 8-9 and then North Carolina in round 2. That's some significant blue bloods there. Kentucky gets a 3 in the South. They played a lot better entering the SEC tournament and then laid an egg in the first game of the SEC tournament. Famously, John Calipari says he doesn't care about the SEC tournament. Kim Mulkey says the exact same thing. And I say the same thing when the baseball teams go to Hoover every year. But it's put up or shut up time for John Calipari and that team. This is as talented a team as he's had in a while, and they've been up and down in the regular season. We'll see what the NCAA tournament holds for them. Florida gets a 7 seed in the South. And the last of note, McNeese did get a 12 seed. That's kind of where everybody had them pegged at 31-3, and they do get a 12 seed. They'll play Gonzaga. This is not one of the great Gonzaga teams. St. Mary's beat them a couple times. They didn't win the WCC. But I'm curious to see how Will Wade's team handles things. He gets to coach in the NCAA tournament, which never happened here. The only time he coached in the NCAA tournament at LSU was during the COVID year when everybody went up to Indiana and played all over the place. He didn't get to coach the SEC championship team. He didn't get to coach his last team in the NCAA tournament, and he coached the COVID team in front of nobody. How do you think the Pokes fare, and how quickly after they lose is he on a plane somewhere else?
Well, I think a lot of people like them against Gonzaga because Gonzaga isn't the Gonzaga they usually are. But Mark Few has got them to the Sweet 16. I don't know how many years in a row. He's a really good coach, and he's going to manage this team. I really do think McNeese State has a great chance of winning, but I think in most of my brackets I'm picking Gonzaga because they still have really good talent. McNeese State I think it's going to be close, but I still think Gonzaga is a better overall team.
After McNeese loses, whenever that is, 48 hours, is he still the head coach at McNeese?
No.
Okay. Where's he going?
I think he's going to go to Ohio State.
Ohio State hired their own.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
They hired their own. Michigan is open.
Michigan is who I was thinking of. I think Michigan is.
What about Vanderbilt?
No, it's not. If he has an option between Michigan and Vanderbilt, he's not going to Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he has the option. I'm curious what the what ADs feel about him, because he broke rules and was punished for that. But now those rules are no longer in place.
Exactly.
So I wonder if, because he was willing to break rules, if that's something that turns people off, or if it's like, hey, he wins a lot of basketball games, we don't care, that's legal now.
To be honest, if there are athletic directors that feel that way, you would think Vanderbilt, who is an institution of integrity, and they like to have smart people there. I don't think that they would probably be willing to hire him if they have a standard like that.
Yeah. Look, it's home for him. He's from Nashville, and I'm curious to see if that phone call comes. But I don't think he'll be the head coach of McNeese 48 hours after their last game, whenever that is. Let's talk about the women. The LSU women do get their fate delivered last night at the selection show. I saw the great video of Haley Van Lith when Louisville popped up in LSU's little pod there. Kim Mulkey and Angel Reese were giving her a little bit of a hard time as her former teammates are coming down to Baton Rouge. But LSU will play Rice. They're a 3 seed. They'll get the 14 Rice. That game will be on the 22nd, coming up at 3 o'clock. And then the winner of that will get the winner of Louisville and Middle Tennessee. We talked last week about whether or not the selection committee would try to create this TV product in the Final Four. They did not. They put LSU in the same bracket as Iowa. Those two teams would play in a regional final, not in the Final Four. Of course, you always want to look at South Carolina because that seems to be the best team. LSU would not see South Carolina until the national championship game. So South Carolina is in Regional 1, and Regional 2 has Iowa as the 1 seed and LSU down there as the 3. So what do you think of LSU's draw?
I think it's worse for Iowa. I think Iowa should be pretty upset with their draw because they've got LSU and then also UCLA, who's also extremely good. But I do think that they have a very strong chance. I think it'll probably be them and UCLA in the Sweet 16, and I think LSU probably wins that, and then it's Iowa. It's what everyone most likely will expect LSU and Iowa playing in the regional final. But also interesting to note too that Colorado, one of the team that LSU lost to earlier in the season, is a 5 seed in the same regional as well.
They are right there on the top half. Colorado and Kansas State on LSU's side in that one. So there's just a lot of storylines that could materialize for LSU. You got the first game and they ought to be able to handle Rice, and then you've got likely Haley Van Lith playing her old team with Louisville. Then you've got UCLA, who's really, really good, and then you would face Caitlin Clark, and then you would get into the Final Four. And on that other side, USC is the 1 seed, and the 2 seed is Ohio State. So it's
LSU played Ohio State last year, of course, as well.
Did.
So that could be another rematch.
They did. So it's just I think it's a tough draw because you have Iowa in your bracket. I think that makes it tough. But I mean, I think for me, the boogeyman is South Carolina. Like, that's the toughest team to play, and the fact that LSU wouldn't see them until the very, very end, like last year when they didn't get through, I think is a good thing. But I do think it's a tough draw to have Iowa on your same side. So LSU will get things underway on the 22nd, which I believe is Friday. Is that right?
Yes, they will play Friday at 3.
Friday at 3 o'clock in the PMAX. Get your tickets, get on out there and support the ladies as they get their title defense kick-started against Rice inside the PMAC. All right, hour 1 on this Monday. We're always brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products, GCOPnet.com. GCOPnet.com. All your printing, scanning, copying, they can help you out at Gulf Coast Office Products. They handle all of our printing, copying, scanning here at Guarantee, and they can do the same for you. Check them out online at GCOPnet.com. We open things up 30 minutes talking LSU baseball. Tigers lose 2 out of 3 against Mississippi State in Starkville. My reaction was the first 30 minutes of the show. Football commitment for LSU. Big-time offensive lineman joins a star-studded class. My reaction to that at 1:30. In the second hour, we got tons to get to. We got some Saints to discuss. We've got Matthew Bruni coming on at 2:30 to talk a little bit of basketball, and we'll open things up with what I saw from the SEC on the baseball field over the weekend. If you missed any of the first hour, catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on-demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever you find your sound. You can also find our football Hunt on Saints and Hunt on LSU. We'll step aside, take a break for Sports Center. When we come back, some SEC baseball talk right here on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Bayou Ford has $7,500 off MSRP on new 23 Ford F-150 XLT trucks. $7,500 off plus 1.9% financing for 72 months. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you. Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $22,500 off the new 23 Ram 1500 SCA truck. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $22,500 off the new Ram 1500 truck. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. The Lakers trying to remain in postseason contention, maybe without power forward Anthony Davis tonight versus the Hawks. He's listed as questionable with a left corneal abrasion. LA's dropped 4 of 5, and its defense is a big problem, believes First Take host Stephen A. Smith.
LeBron, like you said, lights out doing all that he could do. But I'm looking at the Lakers defensively. You can't stop anybody. And it's mainly because D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves, who's improved over the last few weeks, but both of them together defensively, they're not worried. They have no one worried. No one.
LA's currently 10th in the West, holding on to the final play-in spot. NFL ESPN's Field Yates is reporting the Cowboys reworked the contract of quarterback Dak Prescott going into the final year of his deal, reduced his 2024 salary cap hit by $4 million to $55 million. Sources tell ESPN's Ed Werder Cowboys are continuing to try to sign Prescott to an extension. Linebacker Leighton Vander Esch retiring after dealing with recurring neck issues in his 6-year NFL career. The 28-year-old was released by the Cowboys on Friday.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Kennedy, coming up Tuesday. I'll tell you why the struggles of the 2021 draft class should be a warning sign to teams who are looking for a quarterback. It's unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I direct your attention to something quite extraordinary?
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show. The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour number 2, Hunt Palmer Show, Monday edition, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. Matthew Bruni in 30 minutes talking NIT basketball and NCAA tournament basketball, LSU men and the women. Bruni's a North Texas grad, and LSU's playing North Texas in the NIT for the second time this year. So we'll get Bruni's thoughts on the Tigers, but as well the Mean Green, who will be here to play tomorrow in the NIT opener. I wanted to talk a little SEC baseball here because it was a rough weekend for the road teams, a real rough. They didn't win a series, and the road teams combined to go 4-17 in league play over the weekend. Home teams just beating up on everybody. I think the highest profile series of the weekend was Florida beating Texas A&M 2 out of 3. Very, very competitive 3 games between those two teams. In fact, the aggregate score of all 3 games was 18-18. As I expected, Florida hit A&M's pitching far better than anybody has all year. A&M's played a very light schedule, and their pitching numbers are really, really good. I think A&M has a good pitching staff. I don't think it's the best pitching staff in the country, which is what some of the metrics were suggesting. And Florida knocked them around a little bit. Cags hit a big home run, and Florida scored some runs. But as we expected, A&M scored runs as well. Florida's really struggled to pitch to this point. Cade Fisher has struggled for them on Friday nights. Cagliano's been pretty good on Sundays. But A&M's got really good bats. Chase Lavalette had a big home run, and they split, and Florida won the rubber game on Sunday. So really competitive between two teams that I think are very, very good this year. Bama beats Tennessee 2 out of 3, which caught my attention as well. I'm high on this Tennessee team. I think they're very, very good. Bama hit a 2-run home run in the 8th Sunday to win by 1 to take that rubber match. So another very competitive series between Alabama and Tennessee. I'm starting to sense a trend with Tennessee on Fridays. A.J. Causey is their ace at this point, and he was really good on Friday. 6 2/3, 6 hits, just 2 runs, 8 strikeouts, and 1 walk. Kind of thought Drew Beam would be their number 1 guy this year. Kind of made sense as he was behind Dolander and Burns for a couple of years, but time to kind of pull himself to the forefront. A.J. Causey's kind of taken that role. So I think LSU will see him in a few weeks in Knoxville on Friday night. He's been very, very good, and he was very good against Alabama. But the Crimson Tide take 2 out of 3 against Tennessee. Vanderbilt swept Auburn, and it wasn't overly competitive. 11-1 in Game 1, 13-5 in Game 2, and 9-6 in Game 3. This has kind of been the MO of Auburn under Butch Thompson. Like, they've had slow starts in SEC play, and they've just gotten better and better and better, and he put a couple teams in Omaha because they improved. This Auburn team I don't think is in the top half of the league in terms of talent, but they've got a really good coach, but they've dug themselves a little bit of a hole, losing 3 games in Nashville. Carter Holton for Vanderbilt was fantastic on Friday night. He's been their ace, and he hasn't been – the numbers may be a little bit misleading based on the type of contact he's allowed. Apparently, I've been reading up on some of Vanderbilt, and his numbers didn't look very good, but there were some kind of anomaly games where he gave up some runs that weren't necessarily his fault. But in this game, he was fantastic on Friday. 7 innings of 1-run ball, only gave up 4 hits, struck out 9, and had 1 walk. So Vandy's got a really good 1-2-3. Devin Futrell's been there for a couple of years and is a solid left-hander. Holton's a really good left-hander as well. So Vanderbilt's got some arms, and we'll see them in Baton Rouge here in a couple of weeks. So they get a sweep over Auburn, and Arkansas swept Missouri. This is only noteworthy because Missouri did not score for 24 innings to start this weekend. 24 innings. They got shut out 8-0 in the Hagen-Smith start on Friday, got shut out 6-0 in Brady Tiger start on Saturday, and lost 9-1 on Sunday. They scored 1 run on the weekend. 24 scoreless to open things. Hagen-Smith, 6 innings of shutout ball, 10 strikeouts and 1 walk. He's the best pitcher in the country right now, I think. Brady Tigert, who's been a closer for Arkansas, dealt with some arm issues. He's now starting and has adjusted to that quite nicely. He only allowed 1 hit in 4 2/3 innings on Saturday. No runs, 7 strikeouts and 4 walks. And Mason Molina pitches for Arkansas on Sundays and has been very, very good. There are some really good talents on Sundays pitching in the SEC right now. You've got what Arkansas's got with Mason Molina, who was a big-time pitcher for Texas Tech last year. You've got LSU with Thatcher Hurd, who I know is not an ace, but you can't dispute Hurd's talent. He's probably going to be a top 50 pick in the draft. You got Jack Caglione pitching on Sundays for Florida just because he's got a hit for the first 2 days, and he's pitching on Sundays. And then, we saw Jurangelo St. yesterday. That's a talent on Sunday. He's throwing 97 miles an hour. He's a switch pitcher, throwing sliders, left-handed, striking out Brady Neal. There are some really talented dudes pitching on Sundays in this league, and that's not generally been the case. On Sundays, you've seen a lot of junk ballers, a lot of bullpen games, and I think mainly because of the transfer portal, I think, that you're accumulating so much talent in the SEC, that Hurd's a transfer, Mason Molina's a transfer. Those are guys that wouldn't have been on LSU roster in a previous era, but now everybody's coming to the SEC, so you've got this wealth of talent, and you're starting to see that manifest itself with the amount of talent that you're seeing in Sunday arms. I'm just used to seeing big-time scoring games on Sundays, and look, you saw that with LSU yesterday because LSU kind of ran out of pitching. But I'm taken back by how much talent there is on Sundays in the league. You think of Sunday as a run-scoring day, not with some of these guys on the mound. St. just throwing 97. Jack Caglione throws 97 miles an hour left-handed. Thatcher Hurd can get up to 96. Has got the highest spin rate on the breaking ball of anybody on LSU staff. That's real stuff on Sundays. Dan Canterbury always has a line that he says. You can listen to his podcast with Hanny on the Hannycast. Sunday's a fun day because it's run day. Well, I don't know about that with some of these guys that are going in finales. So you look up, and as I mentioned, 4-17 over the weekend for road teams in the SEC. And so now we'll kind of flip that, and everybody will play. If they were on the road, they'll play at home. If they were at home, they'll play on the road. LSU, of course, will welcome in Florida, who was at home against Texas A&M. So big one for LSU coming up this weekend. That's kind of a look at week number 1. Remember, last year at this time, Tennessee had been swept to open league play by Missouri. Swept by Missouri. And then they came to Baton Rouge and lost 2 out of 3. So they were 1-5 in league play at a certain point. I think we all remember where Tennessee ended up. They were in Omaha, and LSU knocked them out as one of the final 4 teams standing. So early. LSU did not play very well over the weekend, but you still got plenty of time to get things righted. Be nice to start things up this weekend against the Florida Gators. Our Monday show is brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products, GCOPnet.com, GCOPnet.com. Our baseball breakdown is brought to you by Pluckers each and every day. We'll take a time out. We're going to get to Matthew Bruni here in about 20 minutes, but I want to talk some Saints. One of their defensive backs that was adding some depth has walked away. What does that mean for Marshawn Lattimore's future? We'll talk about that coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. They can do a full-scale bathroom renovation. Soup to nuts. Be the only call that you make is to David Duvall and his team, or they can do something simple, like a tub-to-shower conversion. You don't use that tub. Don't have 2-year-old Myers who takes a bath and is an absolute hellion, throwing stuff, splashing everywhere. You don't use the tub? Well, good. Take it out. Put it in a glass walk-in shower. Changes the aesthetic of your bathroom, changes the functionality of the bathroom, adds some value to your home as well. David Duvall and his team, happy to help you out. Get that free consultation at the website. It's OneBathAndClosets.com, OneBathAndClosets.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the JimsFirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the JimsFirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It's the details that make the difference between good enough and simply the best. At Skag Power Equipment, the difference is in designing lawnmowers with your convenience and comfort in mind. At Skag, we believe that quality and substance matter, and that you'll appreciate the attention to detail and craftsmanship we put into every single product. Thick steel and heavy-duty components provide you with unmatched reliability and performance. Skag, simply the best.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel.
So join us for Monday's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. Matt is back in the host chair. We're recapping LSU's series against Mississippi State and getting you set for LSU's return to spring practice. It's Monday's AFR, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The field is set for the 2024 NCAA men's basketball tournament. Tune in for first round coverage Thursday night at 6 and Friday night at 6 as well. Then catch second round coverage starting Saturday at noon and Sunday morning at 11 right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Matthew Bruni with us in 15 minutes talking some basketball. Matt McMahon met with the assembled local media a little bit earlier to preview North Texas, so we'll get Bruni's update on what he had to say a little bit earlier today. But I want to talk some Saints here. I got the news over the weekend that Isaac Yiadom has agreed to terms with the San Francisco 49ers. We talked about this back on Friday, that he was visiting Washington. Turns out that the better offer came from San Francisco, so Isaac Yiadom is on his way out west. We talked about on Friday, the Saints don't have a ton of depth and assets at a lot of the positions. They don't have a ton of depth at wide receiver. They don't have a ton of depth on the offensive line. They don't have a ton of depth at linebacker. They don't have really anyone that's been an established pass rusher. But at secondary, they did have some assets. You've got Marshawn Lattimore. You've got Paulson Adebo. You've got Alontae Taylor. You had Isaac Yiadom. And then in the secondary, you've got Jordan Howden and Tyrann Mathieu. Like, you have some depth there. And so the thought was maybe you can move on from Marshawn Lattimore and you can recoup some draft picks to help plug some of these holes in your roster. He's probably the best player that you have that would demand a return. You weren't going to be able to get anything for Michael Thomas. You probably can't get much for Alvin Kamara. But for Lattimore, probably can. And so I would entertain that thought. But now with Yiadom moving on, your depth is kind of taking a hit, and I don't think you're going to move on from Marshawn Lattimore at this point. Like, I would have been okay. It's not as good as if you have Lattimore, but I would have been okay with the secondary that had Adebo and Taylor on the outside, with Yiadom playing a lot in the nickel. He did a good job for the Saints playing inside cornerback last year. It's a 27-year-old that was credited for 14 passes defense. He made 37 tackles. Like, he's a capable player in the NFL. And if you could have traded Marshawn Lattimore and picked up 2 draft picks, maybe a player and a pick, and plugged 2 different holes by moving on from Lattimore, I would have said, okay, I can get on board with that. Now that you don't have the depth you did because Yiadom's moved on, I'm looking at this going, you need to keep Marshawn Lattimore around. You need him to be your number 1 corner and kind of leave the pieces where they were last year before injury started to happen. And that means Adebo on one end, Taylor playing the nickel and the dime, Mathieu back behind him, and then probably Howden in there at safety as well. Jeff Duncan made an interesting comment about moving on from Marshawn Lattimore and saying that it was a bad idea because the return for corners has not been great in the NFL. He cited a couple of examples of guys that were traded and what you were able to get for them. Jalen Ramsey was one of them. And Ramsey, who's probably a better corner than Marshawn Lattimore, you ended up getting a reserve offensive lineman in a mid-round pick. You got a third rounder and then a tight end that didn't really play. That's what they got for Jalen Ramsey. So it stands to reason that, like, maybe all you could get for Marshawn Lattimore would be 6th round pick. And is that really worth it? I mean, Justin Fields just got moved for a 6th-round pick. He's a quarterback. Teams just aren't as willing to part with high-end draft picks as they once were. So I'm open to exploring all types of options for New Orleans in terms of fixing their roster, which has a lot of holes on it. And that includes looking at what a return could be for Marshawn Lattimore. But when you look at the market, you see what's happened, and then you see this news of Isaac Yiadom moving on, it seems to me now even less likely that the Saints will move on from Marshawn Lattimore because they need him with the numbers in the secondary, and 2, because the return probably isn't great. So I would have loved if the Saints could keep Isaac Yiadom around. I thought he played very admirably last year, but this is part of the deal with the salary cap situation is the Saints just don't have a lot of money to sling around. And you've got to prioritize where you're going to spend it. And a depth piece in the secondary, probably not going to warrant very much money from New Orleans at this point. There are teams out there that have $30, $40 million to spend. The Saints aren't really one of them. And so San Francisco is able to swoop in and pick them up. That's a really well-run organization over there. They know what they're doing. So the Saints are still fine in secondary. You've got enough pieces there to get into camp. And I don't think it's something they need to necessarily address in the draft. They need to deal with wide receiver, need to deal with tackle, need to deal with pass rusher. Is the signing of one linebacker enough with Willie Gay? Like, I don't know. They may have to address that as well. But I don't think cornerback is a place where you're going to see really any movement. And I expect Marshawn Lattimore to stick with the team. And they'll have to address some other needs another way. I'm trying to find a way to get the Saints more draft picks to fill more holes and get young, cheap players. That's all we talk about with New Orleans Saints. They've got to get younger and they've got to get cheaper. But it's hard to trade from what they've got right now and recoup anything of value. And I think that's what you're kind of learning at this point. So free agency continues to churn. Saints doing their bargain shopping at this point. Didn't have enough between the couch cushions to go get Isaac Yiadom. Can't make that happen. So he'll head out to San Francisco. You look at the New Orleans secondary at this point. You've got Paulson Adebo. You've got Marshawn Lattimore. You've got Alontae Taylor. You've got Rejon Wright, J.T. Gray, Faion Hicks, and we'll see what they can do in veteran free agency to maybe supplement that and bring in some guys to compete in camp. But the front end of your secondary is pretty well settled, and Isaac Yiadom is not going to be a part of that. So that's your New Orleans Saints look for today. We're brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products, GCOPnet.com. All your printing, scanning, copying needs. Look, whatever line of work you may be in, you're going to have different copier and printer needs than someone else. Something that Trey Beal mentioned to me, and I didn't really think about it. You're in a law firm, you're going to need one that's got a lot of legal paper and places for that to go. If you're a hospital, you got all kinds of documents that got to be printed. If you're like us, a little media company here that's putting together proposals, you need something that really shines and is glossy. Like, there are different needs. Trey knows them all. He's got clients in every single line of work that you can think of. If you want someone to come in and help you with your printer, scanner, copier needs, Trey Beal and the folks at Gulf Coast Office Products can do that for you. GCOPnet.com. Matthew Bruni is going to be with us here in about 10 minutes. Want to talk some LSU men's basketball, some women's basketball with him. You see the draw that LSU gets in the NIT. They'll play North Texas in the opener. Bruni is a North Texas grad. We'll talk about that. Matt McMahon met with the media. I haven't seen any updates from that. We haven't heard from McMahon since they went out of the SEC tournament back on Thursday, I believe it was. So been a few days since we've heard from Matt McMahon. But I think it's a good thing for LSU to get in the NIT, just for this team to play. We'll preview the game tomorrow from my perspective. I don't know that this is some sort of program building thing. I thought it was good for Will Wade's first team to play in the NIT because you knew that a lot of the guys on that team were coming back the next year. You knew that Tremont Waters and Skylar Mays and those guys were going to be on the team next year. And so I thought that them getting an opportunity to play in that kind of environment was a really, really good thing. I don't know who's going to be on LSU's team next year. I don't know who's jumping in the transfer portal, who's not. So for me, this is about this team. It's not about the program. These guys have worked hard. They've won more games than really anybody gave them a chance to win, and they get an opportunity to keep playing. And that's, I think, the most important thing for this team is you just go out there and you just play some more, and you play until you're done. I did just learn this today that the NIT is no longer playing its finals in Madison Square Garden. That was news to me. That'll be up there at Hinkle, where Butler plays their home games. So I was unaware of that. But we'll see if LSU can get there. They'll get North Texas coming up tomorrow, and Matthew Bruni will help us preview that one here coming up after this timeout. We'll step aside. We'll get to Matthew Bruni on the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electric. Love the folks over at Boudreaux's Electric. Neil and Melissa Boudreaux, been running that company for 40 years. They're a certified Generac dealer. They are a premier Generac generator dealer. Give yourself the peace of mind that comes with having that generator, knowing that you're not going to lose power. Even if you evacuate for a storm, you don't want to come back to a 94-degree house that smells awful because everything's spoiled in the fridge. You can manage that. Come back to a home that's air-conditioned. The fridge is working. All your food's ready to roll. It's just 17 cents per day. Call the offices, 985-397-1562, 985-397-1562, or the Gonzalez one at 225-300-9389, 225-300-9389. Get that generator installed and give yourself the peace of mind that comes with it from our friends over at Boudreaux's Electric.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
It's the details that make the difference between good enough and simply the best. At Skag Power Equipment, the difference is in designing lawnmowers with your convenience and comfort in mind. At Skag, we believe that quality and substance matter, and that you'll appreciate the attention to detail and craftsmanship we put into every single product. Thick steel and heavy-duty components provide you with unmatched reliability and performance. Skag, simply the best.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985
is set for the 2024 NCAA Men's Basketball Tournament. Tune in for first-round coverage Thursday night at 6 and Friday night at 6. Then catch second-round coverage starting Saturday at noon and Sunday morning at 11, right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Moving right along here on this Monday. Thanks for hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Busy week of basketball coming up here in South Louisiana. LSU will open their NIT bid coming up tomorrow inside the PMAC against North Texas. The ladies Friday afternoon against Rice. Talking about all of it is our friend Matthew Bruni from On3, part of the team over at the Bengal Tiger. He joined us on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Matthew, how are you?
Hey, Hunt. I'm doing great. Very, very, very busy day. And it will be a busy week as, like you said, they're both teams are playing and baseball's going and spring football starts back up Tuesday or Wednesday. So busy week.
It's a lot. Let's see. Let's talk the men first. We'll get to the ladies here in a second because we'll go in the order that they will play. They do get a host site there in the NIT. They'll play North Texas, school that you're familiar with as an alum. And it'll be the second time that LSU has taken on North Texas. So tell me about what you remember from the first time these two teams met.
Yeah, I was there in Charleston when they played in that tournament over there, and LSU did a great job of controlling the paint. Will Baker, I think, had 16. Derek Fountain had 15. Those two were incredible. So, you start there. I think that's the clear advantage they have over North Texas is at the 4 and 5 positions. North Texas defensive rebounding hasn't been as strong as it was in years past. So I think that's an area where LSU can maybe take advantage of it. North Texas does hit a lot of threes. They're top 15 in the country in three-point percentage. So I expect it to be a really tight game. Last time it was back and forth the whole time until LSU went up, I think, 4 with about a minute left to put it away. So really fun matchup. I'm surprised they're playing again. I thought the NIT would put them against, if you want to, there's another American school in Dallas, SMU right there if you want, or anything else. But yeah, for me, it's fun. It's the two coaches I know well, two teams I know real well, so I enjoy it.
What's the strength of North Texas's team?
Well, first of all, defensively, they're top 40 in defense. They've been one of the best defenses in the country the last 4 years. So that's where you start. They have real length on the wing. I think that helps them. So defense is the main thing. They force turnovers. They're really strong, especially from three, defending the three. But I think three-point shooting, like I said, they shoot about 37% from three. They're one of the slowest teams in the country, so they kind of just grind you down, and then hit a three usually. So they've gotten healthy. They were really not healthy for most of their conference play, so they're getting better. I think they're a better team than they were when these two teams played in November, and I think LSU is also a better team than they were in November.
You think LSU will try to get out and run and try to speed North Texas up?
You can try. A lot of teams have tried. North Texas, yeah, like I said, the past 4 or 5 years, has been one of the slowest teams in the country every single year, and they really do it with their defense, forcing teams to get to their second and third option. It's really impressive. It kind of makes up for some of their talent deficiencies against better teams. For those who don't know, North Texas won the NIT last year, beating teams like Oklahoma State and Wisconsin and UAB in the championship game. So battle-tested program. I think this would be a huge win for LSU to get under their belt. It's good for LSU that they're playing at home.
What do you think LSU's motivation level is going to be like tomorrow?
I think it'll be pretty high. I think for LSU, if you had told at least, fans and maybe the coaching staff, 9-9 season in conference play and you're playing in the NIT as a host team, I think they would all take that. So I don't know if the players thought that far ahead, but I think just in general, with the progress that this program has made in 2 years, I think it's a substantial landmark that they get this win and that they're playing at home. I think that's another big factor for them. And Jordan Wright, Will Baker, everybody's playing, so all the seniors will be hyped up, and I expect LSU to come out ready to play.
You mentioned that LSU's got an advantage in the post. Is Will Baker game, Jalen Reed, Derek Fountain? Like where's LSU's key lie in the paint?
Yeah, I think Will Baker post-ups were really effective against North Texas last time. It kind of forced them to double team. North Texas played FAU, who has a 7-1 center, similar type thing. I think North Texas or LSU can reenact that type of success. I expect Jalen Reed to have some good moments too, because North Texas at the 4 has a talented defender, but he's not as big as Jalen Reed and Derek Fountain. So it's kind of a mismatch there. I think that's where you start, and then it's going to come down to LSU shooting better than it does at times against like Mississippi State and other teams. So I think they'll have some open threes.
What do you make of Tyrell Ward's development this year?
I think it's been huge, and it's honestly one of the biggest signs of hope for next year, him and Jalen Reed. But Tyrell Ward's three-point shooting is terrific. We all know how important that is. I think he's athletic enough to develop off the bounce. I think he's athletic enough to develop as a defender and, just round out his game in the coming years. So, he's huge, and I expect him to be, one of the best players on the team next year.
Let's talk about the women. No, I have one more question about the men. How important is making a run in the NIT to LSU's basketball program? I mean, year to year with the transfer portal and all that kind of stuff, like, is there some development that can go on here, or is this just the reward that these guys get for going 9-9?
I think it's both. I think Jalen Reed, I think the three young guys, Reed, Ward, and Williams, can all develop in this run, and playing in tournament games is important. And I know, people say it's the NIT. If you make it 2-3 rounds in the NIT, you feel like you're in a playoff scenario. Like, it's not like you're just like walking through the motions that you get to 2 or 3 rounds in this thing. So I think it's big. I think they'll benefit from it. I don't know how big it is for the program. I think you have to get this first win, and then you kind of see what happens from there. Because after that, I think you're playing on the road against potentially Seton Hall, unless if they lose in the second game. So, I think get this first win and go from there.
Chatting with Matthew Bruni, covers LSU for the Bengal Tiger, part of the On3 gang. He and Shay Dixon, Billy Embody do awesome work over there on the Bengal Tiger. The girls get a 3 seed. Your thoughts?
I was surprised. Well, I shouldn't say that. I was surprised when I saw Notre Dame get a 2 seed. That was kind of a sign to me that they were going to bump LSU down to 3. I don't fully understand it. I think if you watch that game against South Carolina in the championship game, considering the injury situation and everything, I don't see how you can't have LSU as a top 18. But Notre Dame does have a comparable resume, and so they just went with them. I guess they wanted a team to throw into South Carolina's bracket as a 2 seed. I'm not worried about it. So it sets up a really hard region and a really interesting path for LSU to get back to the Final Four.
Were you surprised that they were put in Iowa's bracket?
Yes. I don't really understand it, especially if they're a 3 seed. I think the bottom 2 brackets with Texas and USC, I feel like those are a lot less talented brackets just in general. I feel like if LSU was in one of those 2, I think they'd be almost the overwhelming favorites to come out of them. And instead, they're now in Iowa's bracket and they're in UCLA's bracket. I wrote about it in the story today. That region has 9 teams in the top 26 in the net. No other region has more than 6. So it's a loaded region.
That's crazy. So I think we all kind of figure that Rice is one that LSU should be able to handle. But a Haley Van Lit's old team there, Louisville, do they pose a significant threat to LSU in Baton Rouge?
I think LSU should be fine. Especially to go to the Rice point real quick, I think that LSU will beat Rice by about 40 points. Rice went 500 in their conference, and they were the 10 seed, and they won the AAC tournament. Going back to my knowledge of North Texas, the North Texas women won the regular season title, and Rice ended up making a run. So LSU will be fine in that game. Get everybody in, rest, have fun. The Louisville game is interesting because Louisville does have really good guards that can score the ball at a high clip, so it'll immediately test LSU's defense on the perimeter, which we've been, wondering about and waiting to see in the postseason. So it'll be interesting. I think there'll be a lot of points in that one, but ultimately, as is the case, I think in a lot of matchups, I think LSU's front court and their rebounding just is too much for a lot of teams, and especially if the defense it continues to improve and plays how we saw it play in the SEC tournament to end the season.
Have any update on Angel Reese and Michaela Williams after a couple of weeks off?
Yeah, they're both fine. They'll both play. I think Michaela's a little bit more of a concern to me because Angel, I mean, she was playing at probably 60% in that SEC tournament. She's still just a monster and everywhere. Michaela missed about two or so weeks. Didn't practice really at all in that time where she was nursing the foot. And then they threw her out there for the SEC tournament. It was obviously a struggle for her. So you want to get her back, her fitness, her conditioning, her feel for the game, just and especially now that you're going into, for her, the first time experiencing this. I think she's going to be health-wise. I'm not worried about her, but adjusting and getting back into the flow of things is going to be a huge point, especially in that first game.
Where's your confidence level with this girls basketball team entering the tournament? I mean, what does your gut tell you about how far they're going to go?
It's really high. Like I said, if they were in any other region, I would probably not hesitate at all to pick them over a Texas or a Stanford or, even the USC. I would feel pretty good about. So Iowa is not the concern to me. It's having to beat UCLA, then Iowa back to back. That is going to be a real test. We knew that, and last year they did benefit from number one seed in their region, Indiana, losing in the second round to Miami. So you had to, had a little bit of luck there. So we'll see. Maybe they get some more luck this time around. That's what every team in the country needs if you're going to make a run at this thing.
Enjoy the Bruni Bowl tomorrow in the PMAC. We'll be talking to you later.
Yes, we'll do. Thanks, Hunt.
Matthew Bruni, right over there at the Bengal Tiger, part of the On3 gang, and a North Texas alum who'll be watching this alma mater in the PMAC against LSU coming up tomorrow. We talked a little bit about LSU's draw in the women's NCAA tournament as well as the NIT. I'm really surprised that they didn't split Iowa, South Carolina, and LSU. I think those are the three biggest draws in sports, and I don't like conspiracy theories, but I was thinking, like, man, you've got a sport that's growing in popularity. Like, there's every reason to try to get all those stars in the Final Four. But to the selection committee's credit, they did not rig it that way. They put LSU and Iowa in the same bracket, so those two teams will not both make the Final Four. Only one can survive if they get that far, and South Carolina is, in fact, on the other side. So you could get a Caitlin Clark, South Carolina rematch in the final, but LSU will hope to have something to say about that a little bit later down the road. Our Monday show is brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products, GCOPnet.com, GCOPnet.com. Got one more timeout. We'll come back and play some Take It or Leave It and get on down the road. Hope your work week's off to a good start. You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Platinum Window Tint, PlatinumWindowTintLLC.com. Check out the website, PlatinumWindowTintLLC.com. You can request a quote, see pictures of their great gallery, see all of their lists of services. And on that services tab, you'll see the auto, because they can do window tinting for your auto. They can do residential window tinting. They can do commercial window tinting. Make your life a little bit more pleasant when these hot months that are coming up. You can save some energy costs and then just keep temps down because it's a little warm. And Platinum Window Tint LLC is happy to help you. That they also offer ceramic coating, which can protect your vehicle. It's a sizable investment that we make in our cars. They've got an industry-leading ceramic coating that's meant to protect your vehicle for many, many years against things like water, scratches, stains. Just goes right on over the paint and conceals the car and protects it. They've got a lot of different services over there at Platinum Window Tint. You can check them out online. PlatinumWindowTintLLC.com. PlatinumWindowTintLLC.com. PlatinumWindowTintLLC.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the JimsFirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the JimsFirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It's the details that make the difference between good enough and simply the best. At Skag Power Equipment, the difference is in designing lawnmowers with your convenience and comfort in mind. At Skag, we believe that quality and substance matter, and that you'll appreciate the attention to detail and craftsmanship we put into every single product. Thick steel and heavy-duty components provide you with unmatched reliability and performance. Skag, simply the best.
Was a humid day barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
On Tuesday's OTB, LSU baseball is on to the midweek. Plus, we break down a little March Madness with Coach Kim Mulkey, what's going on with LSU spring football, and a brand new OTB mailbag. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Winding things down here on a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Hope your work week's off to an awesome start. Busy show tomorrow. We'll have Glenn West talking LSU. We'll have Sharif Ishak on the Saints and Pels. Get you ready for the NIT opener against North Texas. Get you ready for LSU and Louisiana Tech from the box. Spring football. So plenty to get to tomorrow. Very much looking forward to that. But before tomorrow, we got to finish the show today. And to finish the show today, we'll play Take It or Leave It today. Let's go.
Alrighty, first one here. Scotty Scheffler defended his Players Championship title with a final round 64 to win for the second straight week. Wyndham Clark had a putt to tie on the 18th, but it lit out, almost went all the way around the hole. That was the worst lip out you've ever seen. Take it or leave it.
I might have to take it. When you consider that's the biggest purse on tour, $4.5 million, and he had a chance to play for it if it goes down, just crazy. But like, what Scotty Scheffler's doing right now is amazing. I was listening to the No Laying Up guys who I listened to a good bit last night, and like they said, they haven't seen anybody hit the ball like this since Tiger. Like, he doesn't putt quite as good as Tiger, and he's not 20 yards longer than everybody on tour like Tiger was. But in terms of the iron play and the consistency, like, he is at an incredible level. And for him to win back-to-back weeks, to defend the Players' Championship over the second year in a row is just remarkable. And like, I was talking to my friends, I was like, what amount of money would you be comfortable betting on a 1-to-1 return that Scotty Scheffler will win a major this year? Like, I would be comfortable betting like $500.
I would guess that if there is, I don't know if they usually do lines like that, futures for golfers, but if there is one, I'm guessing that it would be like not very good odds.
Yeah,
because
I mean, it's hard to win. You got to beat everybody to win, so it's hard. But like, he's so far and away the most consistent ball striker on tour. It's not even close. And he went through that time where he wasn't putting at all. And now he's making some putts, and him running those guys down yesterday was absolutely ridiculous. I like that golf course. I think it provides a fun test. It's really entertaining to watch, and I'm bummed out that the field's not as good as it used to be because half the guys are playing hit and giggles on live. But that was a great golf tournament yesterday. I mentioned in my breakdown of the LSU baseball game that I turned it off. I turned the players on. I was like, I'm going to golf. I can't watch Mississippi State score any more runs.
Bit of unfortunate for Wyndham Clark too. He's finished second last week as well behind Scheffler.
Yep.
It's kind of
he's really good.
He's really he's hitting it better than almost anyone else besides Scheffler. So a bit of an unfortunate circumstance for him having Scheffler just playing unconscious right now. But moving on, Dodgers manager Dave Roberts said Shohei Ohtani will start a throwing program in the next few weeks and could possibly play in the field at some point this season. Ohtani in the field, take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. Why? What are we trying to rush this for? I mean, there's no need to do that. He can DH. He's going to hit 40 homers. And just when he can pitch, let him do that. Is he even that good a defensive player? I'm sure he's fine.
I think I'm not sure. But
the Dodgers have plenty of guys. I'm sure they can find somebody to go play first base or right field. And you don't need to rush him. Just let him hit, let him recover, and let him pitch next year. I would not do anything to jeopardize Shohei Ohtani. No.
All right, former Reds great Joey Votto hit a home run on the first pitch of his first at-bat as a Toronto Blue Jay off of Zach Wheeler, no less, in a spring training game against the Phillies. Votto will make the Blue Jays 40-man. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. I think they'll keep him. Joey Votto, to me, is the most underrated player of this era because he played in Cincinnati and their teams weren't very good. And he's not very flashy, and he's just real quiet. Great dude, apparently, but just kind of under the radar. He was so hard to get out for so many years. The Cubs play the Reds a ton, and he draws a ton of walks. There was some ridiculous stat. I'll have to look this up, but he popped out to first base, and it was like he hadn't done it for 11 years or so. It was something absolutely absurd that he had not popped out to first base in a ridiculous amount of years. Under the radar, first ballot Hall of Famer to me. Incredible on base guy, incredible defensive player as well. And he seems like he's a Red forever, but he is going to play for Toronto this year. He is a Canadian citizen, so it'd be a good story if he makes it. I think he'll probably make the team.
All right, last one here. The Bears traded Justin Fields to the Steelers for a 6th-round pick. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. I mean, I guess that's all you can do. I'm shocked that the Bears could not get a 2nd or 3rd-round pick for Justin Fields. That seemed very
or maybe even 3rd or 4th, not 6th.
It's a 6th-rounder that converts to a 4th-rounder if he plays a lot. So it's there's a stipulation in there. Look, there must be awful tape on Justin Fields. The tape must be awful. I'm not going to go back and watch every snap that he had, but the fact that signals to me that no one wanted him.
Yeah.
All you can do is offload him for a 6th-round pick that rarely ever makes the roster. Nobody wanted Justin Fields. I do think this is the right move for Chicago because, like we've talked about, this resets their rookie QB clock. You're going to have to pay Justin Fields a lot of money to keep him around. Now you don't have to pay Caleb Williams a ton of money. You pay him the rookie contract, and this is the easiest way to create a really good roster is to pay your quarterback very little. And the only way you can pay your quarterback very little is if they're on a rookie deal, because when they get to that contract that Burrow just got to and that Allen just got to and that Herbert just got to and all those guys, you got to pay them so much money that you got to make some cuts elsewhere on the roster. This is a no-brainer to me with the Bears. Being Brian Poles has got to be kind of a fun job because they ripped that thing all the way to the studs. And now they're getting to rebuild it with a ton of cap room and high draft picks. And so they'll add 1 pick to the fold there in the 6th round. They'll offload Justin Fields, who I don't think was going to be a great quarterback. And then they'll probably take Caleb Williams. Is there any chance they take Jaden Daniels?
No.
Okay.
It seems like Williams is just the consensus number 1. I'm not sure if that's fair or not. Jaden Daniels could very well end up being a better NFL quarterback. Yes. That's just how these things go. It just seems like one guy is the forerunner, and there's not really much that's going to change about it.
Okay, I found Joey Votto's pop-up stats. In 2013, he had 726 plate appearances. 726. He hit 3 pop-ups, period. In 728 trips, hit 3 infield pop-ups. And I'm seeing here he popped up to first base for the first time in his career. That was, how many years was he in? 13 years. He went 12 and a half years never popping out to first base. That is crazy to me.
Wow. That's
6,829 plate appearances before he popped up to first base.
Pretty impressive, the stat tracking for that as well.
Yeah.
Whoever did it. But.
It's probably Elias Sports.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, Joey Votto, very good player that nobody around here probably has ever paid any attention to, unless you're a Cubs fan. So that'll do it for Take It or Leave It here on this Monday. Opening the show today, talking LSU baseball. Tigers lose 2 out of 3 at Mississippi State. Pitching really let them down. Not enough strikeouts, way too many hits allowed. I kind of think that that's going to be a little bit of an outlier. I don't think LSU is going to have a significant pitching problem. I think the pitching is the backbone of this team, and I think that it's going to improve. I think it's going to be better this week. It better be, because Florida can really swing the bats. I think Mississippi State just had a really good weekend, and it made me very upset. But I recapped all that for the first 30 minutes of the show, talked pitching, and then a little bit of offense. LSU got a big-time football commitment on the offensive line. We mentioned that at 1:30. In hour number 2, we talked SEC baseball. Saints moving on from Isaac Adom, or he's moving on from the Saints, I should put it more properly. And then Matthew Bruni was with us at 2:30, talking all things basketball. LSU in the NIT against North Texas, women in the NCAA tournament against Rice. Bruni was with us at 2:30. If you missed any of that, you can catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab. All of our shows are uploaded there in their entirety each and every day. You can catch OTB, you can catch Live at Lunch, you can catch the Hunt Palmer Show after further review. All of it. It's at 1045ESPN.com. But if you're app folks, go to Apple, Google, Spotify, wherever you find your sound, you can find our stuff. Search Hunt Palmer Show. Like, subscribe, rate, and review. We certainly appreciate that. You can also find us on YouTube. Got 2 channels we'd love you to subscribe up to on YouTube. Hunt on LSU, as well as Hunt on Saints. All LSU football on Hunt on LSU. All Saints football on Hunt on Saints. If you subscribe to it, populates right there into your feed. And trying to get our content in front of as many people as we possibly can. So we appreciate all your help with all of that. Mentioned tomorrow's show is very, very loaded. We've got LSU and North Texas in the NIT. Got LSU and Louisiana Tech out of the box. Tech's got a pretty good baseball team this year. They've won a lot of games. So Jay Johnson was talking about them a little earlier today. We'll get some LSU spring football updates tomorrow as well. Sharif Ishak will be with us talking Saints and Pels. Glenn West will be with us talking Tigers. So we'll have a good one coming up in tomorrow's show. Our Monday shows are brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. Check them out at GCOPnet.com. Shout out to our guy, Trey Beal. He is the best. We appreciate them for bringing you our Monday shows. That's it for us. We're going to get on down the road. Matt was out last week. He's back now. He'll be in the captain's chair for AFR coming up next. We'll see you tomorrow, same time and same place. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
Gulf Coast Bank & Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank & Trust, the bank that cares about you.